So welcome back from the second training. It's still me, Kiza Thomas, taking you through the third part of casing wire training, where we are now going to put in the whole section. So we are done. We all know how to design the well path in casing wire. You can either import or you can either put it in manually. So we go to the whole section. So we come here, we click on whole section. So in the whole section we have different parts. The first one is the riser. So what is a riser? A riser is I would call it a pipe that is placed between the rotary table up to where we start our drilling from. So it's generally like a pipe. We shall be looking at it as we proceed with our work. So we can have a riser. A riser is very common in offshore rigs, though not very common in land rigs. The land rig risers are always very small. So our riser here is 8 meters from the mean sea level up to the top. So this figure will always be in. They are very common with offshore rigs. So this is a land rig. It is not. It is quite smaller, not as long. So we have to put in the size of our riser. I'm going to assume that we have the size of our riser is at 25 inches outer diameter and maybe 23 inches outer diameter. Inner diameter. ID is inner diameter. So you have to put in the manufacturer. You can choose any. Maybe I could choose Baker. Then you put in the model. So according to the description that you've been given, the casing team always has this information. So they always give you the description depending on which company you're working for. So we've finished putting in the riser. If you can look at this side, you can literally see we are having our riser here, and it's indicating that we have a riser that is 25 inches inner diameter and 23 inches outer diameter. So we shall have an output this side. So we continue and put in the casings. So you come here and click on add casings. So if you realized here where we have add casings, you can either add or you can add from the catalog. You can add a casing section by selecting from the catalogs of casing. Let's click there so that you can see. So we have different types of casings, so you can use that. For today's session, we are not going to use that method, so we are going to put it in manually for easy understanding of all of us. Most times when you have the red color, it means that you have an error somewhere, and the error is because we've added in two casings. So we can come back and first delete this one, which is here, so that we can first put in the very first one that we selected. So we come here. So here we shall be putting in the measured depth. So the first casing, which is the conductor casing, I'm going to use conductor casing is going up to 50 meters. So it is going to auto calculate itself and give me the length between the measured top and the measured base. The measured base is 50 meters. So the rest of the information we are not going to put it in manually, so we shall come here on this book and select from the catalog of the casings that we have. So our riser was around 23 inches in a diameter. So our first casing, we can choose something that is below 23, say 22, or we can choose any other. You can choose to refresh, and maybe you can choose 20. You can choose 20 or 22. So we have here the catalogs, different catalogs. This is, we have the Halliburton, Red Book. We have very many. I love using the casings from Volalek. So for today we can choose from Volalek specifications. So Volalek is showing you that their biggest casing is 18 inch. So you choose the nominal weight of your casing. So the grade and the other ones have selected, so you have to choose the nominal weight. I'm going to use the nominal weight that is quite high, which is 105, and then I can click on OK. So this will auto transfer all the information into this section. The only part that will not be filled is the effective hole diameter. Now this effective hole diameter has to be bigger than the outer diameter, because the casing is going into a hole, so it has to be something bigger. So the effective hole diameter, we can use 20 inches. So the rest of the information has put in input itself. We have the drift, inner diameter, we have the yield strength, we have the material density, burst constraints, among others. So you realize that here it becomes quite easier. So we have been able to put in our first casing, which is the conductor casing, that is 18-inch. So we shall proceed and put the next casing. So we have to go back up here and click on add casing. So remember, the measured depth of the other one was at 50, so the next one is starting from 50. So the measured base here, I'm going to do quite fast. So the measured depth, I can use 200, and we come to this book here and we choose the next casing. I'm going to use a casing of around maybe 10, 7.5, and then I will choose the L80 and click on OK. I hope we are understanding. I've already explained this. So since this was 10, I can use this as 14.75 effective hole diameter. So the effective hole diameter is always equivalent to the size of the bit that you are using for drilling. So you add the next casing. You realize that we are getting this information showing up on this other side of our screen. So we put in the next one. Let me assume we are going to drill up to 1,300. So we put in the next casing, and maybe the next casing is going to up to how many meters? It has to be smaller than the other one, so we can use casing of 6, 7, 8, or you can use any other. Let's use 6, 5, 8. Remember to change this and put the Vorilek. I think on the previous one I didn't do that, but I will not go back. So this is a casing. I will use the 7. Let me use 7, 5, 8. So we choose the nominal weight. I'm going to use a nominal weight of 55.3, and then I'll use the L80 grade. So we click on OK. Then please don't forget put in the hole effective hole diameter. Here we can use a hole diameter of 8.5. This is for the purposes of learning, please. So we can leave maybe the rest as an open hole. Since we've reached to 1,000, this one was 1,300. Maybe let me increase it to 1,600, so the open hole doesn't look too large. So we come here and we make this an open hole. So the open hole will already input itself. You only need to put in the inner diameter of the open hole, which you put in manually. So we can select our open hole to be 5.5 inches. So we are done inputting our hole section. This is our hole section. As you can see, the holes that we've drilled and the casings that we put in, different types of casings, and then we have to select the friction factors. We click on friction factors. If you want, you can enable them, and you can put them in that manually, or you can either put them in manually